Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, Chris Taylor and the Dodgers made a statement, and that statement was, "Hey, Jeff, we don't want you to be sad." The boys in blue put a pounding on Max Fried and the Braves, and we get at least one more day of baseball this season. A lot to talk about with this game and the path forward, so let's get Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, Dodger fans. I am Jeff Snider of Baseball Essential, and this is Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Vince and I are doing another split episode today. Vince is working his day job covering the NLCS at Dodger Stadium. And so schedule-wise, it made more sense for us to do a split episode. So I will be with you for the first half. Vince will be with you for the second half. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every day. Remember, this show is free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. This is the daily podcast covering the world champion Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue. This episode is brought to you by Spotify Green Room. Download the app and join us pretty much every week to get in on the action. As you can see, I'm recording from my kitchen table again because I know we all have to do our part, and let's face it, doing it from here last night seems to have worked for the Dodgers, so who am I to mess with a good thing? I did bring up my better camera and my better lighting. Just figure if I'm going to be here, I might as well look as good as I possibly can, which admittedly, it's not that much to look at, but, I figured I'd bring the lighting, bring the camera, and do it from the kitchen table until this run ends. And hopefully I get to do the podcast from this table for the whole World Series. I guess I might, if they make the World Series, I might do some of them from California. Guess we'll see. But for now, I am at my kitchen table instead of in my office. And I'm going to be talking about this game mostly. And Vince is going to spend his half of the episode mostly talking about looking forward to game 6 and hopefully 7. So that's kind of the plan here. We do want to remind you, please subscribe or follow or do whatever you do to Locked On Dodgers, wherever you get podcasts and or on YouTube. And if you're not listening every day, check us out more often because it's a fun show. If this is your first time watching or listening, welcome. We love talking Dodgers here. We do it 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and it's always a good time, except when it's a bad time, but that's not our fault. It's the Dodgers' fault. But today, it's a good time. It's a happy episode. The Dodgers, they beat the Braves 11-2. I said yesterday, they talk about flipping the script. Jeff Francoeur said that phrase 1,000 times during game 4, flipping the script. And I said, it's entirely possible that the Dodgers might re-flip the script, and I didn't say 11-2, but I think I said they could come out and beat Max Fried 9-2, because in game 4, it was the Dodgers 20-game winner against a Braves bullpen game, and the Braves flipped the script and won the game easily. And I said the Dodgers could do the same thing. I didn't expect 11-2, but I wasn't surprised to see the Dodgers come out and hit Max Fried. The Dodgers are a very good team, and I was thrilled about it because this is the first time really this postseason that we've seen the true Dodgers offense. I guess they had that one game in San Francisco where they scored 9 runs maybe. I think that a 9-2 game and a 7-2 game maybe against the Giants. But this one was like a full team effort. They had 4 different guys with at least 3 hits. Trey Turner had 3 hits. We talked about that as a key. I thought it was really interesting that Dave Roberts made the choice to move Trey Turner up in the lineup. And, I'm going to talk about that in a minute because I got to talk about Chris Taylor first. Chris Taylor hit 3 home runs. I don't know if you saw that. Chris Taylor hit 3 home runs. AJ Pollock hit 2 home runs and drove in 4 runs. And he's not even getting in the conversation for player of the game because Chris Taylor had 3 home runs and an RBI single, 6 RBIs, came up with a chance for his 4th home run. He struck out. He hit a foul ball pretty hard. The crowd was into it. And, it would have been maybe 2 storybook for him to hit his 4th homer in that game. But Chris Taylor was awesome. Chris Taylor, for as bad as he struggled at the end of the season, he has had some huge hits for the Dodgers here in the postseason. And hopefully, that brings, if Chris Taylor's hitting, we've talked about it with Trey Turner, we've talked about these different guys. when the Dodgers are right, their lineup is so long, everybody can hit. And that's what we saw in this game. Everybody except Will Smith had a hit. And you know what? Will Smith being the guy without a hit, well, he's been hitting all postseason. And so him struggling a little bit, okay, we'll take it. I doubt that that's going to carry over and happen again. He went 0 for 4. Everybody else, Mookie 1 for 5, Trey Turner 3 for 4, Seager 1 for 5, Pollock 3 for 5, Pujols 2 for 4, Taylor 4 for 5, Bellinger 3 for 4. Everybody contributed, and Will Smith didn't get a hit. He did throw out a base runner trying to steal. First time a National League base runner has been caught stealing this postseason. So all in all, a great team victory in a bullpen game that, even by bullpen game standards, started ugly and stupid. Joe Kelly gave up a 2-run home run and then left with an injury. I think probably at the start of the game, they were thinking, you know what? We're going to hope to get 2 innings out of Joe Kelly. Instead, he threw a bunch of pitches and then got hurt. Evan Phillips came in and just, that's twice now that Evan Phillips has come in and just given the team exactly what they needed. He came in and finished off the first inning with 1 pitch and then got a quick second inning. And, he gets the win for his effort, which good. He deserves it. And Evan Phillips is opening up some eyes. He could be a guy. The fact that he's the last guy on their bullpen, him or Justin Brule, the last guys on the roster, and yet he is contributing. Justin Brule's contributing. It's huge, this Dodgers bullpen, and it just makes it, if we think too hard about it, it can get us frustrated again about maybe management of the bullpen earlier in this series and in the previous series. But we're not going to focus on that. But if Evan Phillips and Justin Brule can be real weapons for the Dodgers out of the bullpen, that's awesome. I like their chances. Blake Trinan pitched well for 2 innings. Brusdar Graterol went 2 innings, maybe could have gone 3. Maybe that's the one quibble for this game. We'll talk about that here. Brusdar Graterol went 2 innings, only threw, I think, 14 pitches. Let's see if that's right. Graterol, 14 pitches in 2 innings, just dominant. And then his spot in the lineup came up and with Bellinger on and 2 outs. Bellinger ended up stealing second during Graterol's at bat. Graterol took a couple nice hacks, ended up striking out though. But then they didn't send him back out to the mound. They sent Blake Trinan out. And I am on board with them not sending Graterol back out because 14 pitches, you've got the warm-up pitches too. You've got 2 up downs. And so 14 pitches isn't just 14 pitches. And I think it would have been pushing their luck to try to get him to go a 3rd inning. And by taking him out after 14 pitches, he'll have plenty of time with the off day to rest, and he will be available for games 6 and 7 if necessary, which is big. So I liked the call, assuming, Dave Roberts has got the game mapped out. And this was I guess that was the 4th and 5th innings that he pitched. And so you're like, okay, well, if Dave Roberts is confident that he could get 4 innings out of the rest of the bullpen, by that point they were up 6-2. And so it's like, okay, yeah, take him out. I don't understand really why they sent him up to the plate to bat for himself. Chris Martin was pitching. I feel like Matt Beatty or Gavin Lux would have been a good option there to pinch hit for him if they were going to take him out of the game anyway, especially when Bellinger stole second during that at bat. You could picture Lux or Beatty getting a base hit to tack on an insurance run. Ultimately, it ended up not mattering. It's not a huge deal. It's one of those things that, just if we have to find a quibble, we'll quibble with that. But ultimately, there's still more to talk about. I want to talk more about the offense. I want to talk more about the bullpen here in a minute. So I'm going to come back and do all of that. I want to thank you again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every day. We really appreciate that. And keep it Locked On Dodgers. Hey, slow is just right if you're on vacation or a sloth or describing QuickBooks. More like slow books. It sucks you in and slows you down with manual processes, integration difficulties, and glitchy delays that leave you scrambling for the numbers you need. Now is the time to make the switch to NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 financial system, because NetSuite gives you visibility and control of your financials, inventory, HR, e-commerce, and more. It's everything you need to grow all in one place. With NetSuite, you can automate your processes and close your books in no time, no matter how big your business grows. Failing to switch to NetSuite will leave you stuck trying to make sense of your books while your competitors sprint ahead. 93% of surveyed businesses increased their visibility and control since switching to NetSuite. And right now, special financing is back. NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind financing program only for those ready to switch today. Head to netsuite.com/lockedon right now. Get special financing at netsuite.com/lockedon. netsuite.com/locked-on. Hey, have I told you about Built Bar? I'll give you a hint. Yes, I have. It's the best tasting protein bar in the world. And it's also really healthy. Most protein bars are really disgusting and they have a lot of sugar to go with their protein. Built Bar, you don't have that issue. They are delicious. They are nutritious. They're good for you. They're healthy. So many different flavors. If you don't know what kind you like, you can just order their mix box. They'll send you a box of 18 bars, 2 of 9 different flavors, and you can try them. And then you know what you want next time. I just got some in the mail from them the other day. It was the coconut brownie chunk. That hasn't been available for a while. It's not showing up on their website as available right now, but I think it might be coming back because they just sent me a few. That's my third favorite flavor behind the grasshopper cookie and the cookie dough chunk. So, so many good flavors. You're going to find something you like, and they all have 130 to 180 calories per bar, 17 or 18 grams of protein, 4 or 5 grams of sugar and net carbs. Just delicious stuff and very healthy. So, whatever your nutrition goals are, you want to lose weight, you want to build muscle, you want to just have a snack that tastes good and doesn't make you feel like a glutton. Built Bar is what you want. So go to built.com, use promo code LOCK15, and you get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. And now I'm back to talk more Dodgers. And one of the cool things about doing the podcast from my kitchen is sometimes my daughter needs a drink when she should be in bed, but she needs a drink. So if you happen to see my daughter in the background in just a second, don't mind her. She's not part of the show. So getting back to the Dodgers, the bullpen did exactly what they need to do. After Joe Kelly left the game early, I mentioned Evan Phillips. Alex Vesia pitched an inning, looked great. Gratterall looked awesome. Still, he had 2 strikeouts in 2 innings, which his slider, he threw a slider that for a strikeout that was different than the slider he throws. Our buddy Future Dodgers on Twitter pulled out the numbers, and it was slower and had a lot more break than his slider usually does. So it's almost like it's a third pitch. It was more like a curveball. And so if he's adding in a third pitch to the mix, that could be a big deal. He shattered a couple bats. He looked really good. Blake Trinan always looks good. He struggled a little bit in the first inning he pitched, and we thought, oh man, hey, I think he threw 21 pitches in his first inning of work. But they sent him back out for a second inning, and he threw 6 pitches. So he got through that. Corey Knebel pitched an inning, looked great, struck out 3 guys, did allow a hit, but struck out 3. His curveball always looks ridiculous. And then Kenley Jansen didn't get any strikeouts. He's been striking out a ton this postseason. He didn't get any strikeouts, but he faced the tough part of the lineup, or a tough part of the lineup. There's a lot of tough parts of that Braves lineup. And he got a 1-2-3 inning to end the game. At that point, they didn't need Kenley Jansen for a save or anything, but the way they had built out the pitching plan, it was Kenley's inning. And, we can quibble about not pinch hitting for Gratterall, but Dave Roberts' pitching plan for this game, especially after being thrown the curveball of Joe Kelly leaving with injury, you couldn't have asked for a better pitched game from the bullpen. And that's awesome. And this bullpen really is a strength for this Dodgers team. And last thing I want to talk about, just the offense. I've mentioned Trey Turner. I said on Twitter, when Dave Roberts made the decision to bump Trey Turner up to second in the lineup, flip-flopped him and Seager, some of that was just because they were facing the lefty and Max Fried, so move Turner up. But I like the idea of switching things up with Turner. And I said on Twitter, I really like moving him up in the lineup instead of down, because if the Dodgers are going to be successful in this postseason, they're going to need Trey Turner to contribute. They don't need to hide him at the bottom of the lineup. They need him to contribute. And he got 3 hits tonight. He drove in a run. He looked really good. He still didn't hit for power. We didn't get a home run, but we got 3 good singles, 2 of them opposite field, 1 drove in a run. I mean, it looked like, hey, that's Trey Turner. I recognize that guy. That's the guy who led the major leagues in batting average this year. And that's what the Dodgers need. So I love that move of showing confidence in Trey Turner and telling him, look, dude, we need you. And I think that was the message. I doubt that Roberts said that out loud, but that was the message that was sent by that lineup change was, look, Trey Turner, we need you to be awesome if we're going to be successful. And he was, and they were. And it's not like he was a spark plug. Obviously, Chris Taylor was the key. AJ Pollock was a key. And AJ Pollock may have been more the key than Chris Taylor, at least at the start. He hit the home run to kind of set the tone. The first home run, he kind of showed Max Fried, hey, look, we can hit you. The Dodgers had 3 straight hits. Pollock Pollock's home run, and then a single by Pujols, and then Taylor's home run that were all well into the 100-mile-an-hour exit velocity range. And basically that sent the message, look, Max Fried, we're not afraid of you. You're a good pitcher. We are a better hitting team. And that's what the message they sent to the Braves. And it was awesome. And that's the message they needed to send. This needed to be a statement game because the Dodgers have not hit very well in this series. We all know that. They haven't hit well with runners in scoring position. They haven't been clutch. They haven't gotten 2 strike hits, all those things. But what they needed to do was say, look, this is still the team that led the major league or the National League in runs scored this year. Yeah, we're missing Max Muncy. He was good. We miss him. Guess what? The Dodgers were really good even when Max Muncy was struggling at times this season. This Dodgers offense can score. And that was the message they sent. And you got to think, yeah, professional athletes, the Braves are going to do their best to turn the page, but there's got to be some little part of them that's thinking, okay, this team, the Dodgers might have just woken up offensively, and Max Scherzer and Walker Buehler are going the next 2 games. I don't think it's going to be a super comfortable flight back to Atlanta. I'm sure they're confident. The Braves are confident, but the Dodgers are confident now too. And so if the Dodgers can carry this over and hit like this in the next 2 games, it won't matter that Scherzer and Buehler are pitching because, this version of this Dodgers team that we saw on Thursday night, nobody's going to beat that team. If the Dodgers hit like that, they're going to win out the rest of the season. Obviously, they're not going to score 11 runs a game, but the key things, that clutch hitting, even if they don't get quite as much of it, they got 17 hits tonight. They're probably not going to get 17 hits every game. But if they get those key hits, and if they can get back to the team that can put up 7 or 8 runs a game, yeah, they're a scary team. And Vince is going to talk more about the Dodgers' path to victory, which involves Scherzer and Buehler both stepping up. It involves the offense continuing to step up, all that stuff. But for me, as a Dodger fan, going to bed tonight, knowing all day this could be their last game of the season. This could be Corey Seager's last game in a Dodger uniform, Albert Pujols' last game in a Dodger uniform or in any uniform, Chris Taylor's last game in a Dodger uniform. Knowing that none of those things are true, that we get at least one more game, I can go to sleep a happy man tonight. And that's all you can ask for as a baseball fan, that at the end of the night, hope is not gone yet. And that's where we are. Win today, part 2 is done. They've got 2 more win todays to go to win this series. Vince is going to come talk to you about all that. I want to thank you again for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every day. We love talking Dodgers with you. If you're not here all the time, please come back. We love doing this show, and we'd love to hear from you. Vince will give you all our contact info at the end of the show. So thank you for listening, and Vince will be along in a minute.
We're back and better than ever. BetOnline has a brand new web interface for the start of basketball season, and it has more props, more odds, and more lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number 1 spot for all the basketball and football action this season. Head to their new online updated website on your laptop or mobile device. Sign up today and get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit with the promo code Locked On. That's promo code Locked On at BetOnline for a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. From basketball, football, baseball, postseason, NHL, boxing, UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Yo, Dodger fans. Vince here to close out the episode. And well, we are still alive. The Dodgers are still alive. And let's just keep the same theme. Last night we talked about the path to Game 6. And the Dodgers even exceeded expectations there on how they got to a Game 6. I asked for 5 or 6 runs, 2 or 3 off Fried and 2 or 3 off the bullpen. The Dodgers decided to put up 11. Chris Taylor decided to hit 3 home runs and up my brand personally on Twitter. AJ Pollock decided to hit 2 home runs and add some swagger. AJ Pollock dropping the bat, staring the ball down. The Dodgers were feeling themselves, and it's hard not to get a little bit excited now. Now, obviously, temper the excitement. The Dodgers are still 1 loss away from this season ending against a very good Braves team, facing 2 pretty good starting pitchers, one a little bit better than the other, but one with the potential to shut the Dodgers down. That's let's preface everything with that. But let's go on to this path that the wording we've liked to use, the path to a game 7, the path to an NLCS victory. And it's looking a lot clearer after last night. Last night was bullpen game versus Max Fried. You're not entirely sure what to expect. And it was not completely similar to game 1 because the Dodgers scored a little bit more off Fried, looked a little bit better. But similar to game 1 where, you thought the Dodgers might have a chance. Fried is really good. But the Dodgers bullpen and all the arms that they had available, like I mentioned in last night's episode, were pretty good as well. And even with the Joe Kelly news coming out with 2 outs, Dave Roberts did mention after the game that he's likely done, or no, he's done for the rest of the season. They'll take him off the postseason roster. He'll get replaced, and that automatically takes him off the potential World Series roster. So the Dodgers are down another one, but the path still remains. And the good thing is, Brusdar, Gratterall, everyone's gonna have a day off, so everyone will be available game 6. But guys like Gratterall, guys like Jansen only had to throw not a lot of pitches. Jansen 1 inning, Gratterall 2 innings, but not a lot of pitches. Blake Trinan, maybe he'll be ready for game 6, but if they can potentially avoid him, I would think they would try to do that in game 6. Even with the day off, he threw a little bit more pitches than he's accustomed to. But the path starts and ends with the offense for the most part. If the Dodgers can just put up 11 runs in back-to-back games, then they'll be in good shape. But it starts with the offense. It starts with continuing. It starts with putting the pressure on the Braves. It starts with putting the pressure on the starting pitchers. It starts with putting the pressure, getting into the bullpen early. And it starts with getting some of those big bullpen names. Realistically, the Dodgers aren't probably going to score 4 or 5 runs off the starting pitchers in the game 6 and maybe a game 7. They're going to maybe get 2 or 3 and then get into a bullpen, hopefully in the 5th or 6th inning. And then you try to tack on another 2 or 3 there. They haven't got to Matzik. They haven't got to Minter. Will Smith has had a couple scares, but for the most part has done his job. And those are the 3 that they're going to have to get to. They got to Luke Jackson, and he's still a good pitcher, so they're still going to have to try to get to him. But the path begins with the offense. It begins with Mookie Betts. It begins with Trey Turner. It begins with what we saw, the offense we saw in Game 5. Trey Turner, 3 hits, taking maybe a little pressure off himself, not trying to do too much, hit the ball the other way through the shift a couple of times, which is a good sign. I'd still like to see him get in motion when he gets to first base, but that's another conversation for another day. But Trey Turner, it starts with you. Mookie Betts starts with you, and then it's the bottom of the order that's got to continue to do what they did and be a threat and not just slowly turn the lineup over, but turn the lineup over as soon as it gets to 5, 6, 7, 8. Turn it over, get it back to the top, and go to work. AJ Pollock, who might still get the start because of the Justin Turner injury. Chris Taylor's going to have to play third base. So AJ Pollock might get the start the next 2 nights. Gavin Lux will probably be out there in center field the next 2 nights, assuming they don't leave Pujols in the lineup and have Bellinger out there in center. We'll see what happens, but I would imagine they'd give Lux the chance to be out there, especially since he has been putting good wood on the ball, as they say. And then Chris Taylor, now the starting third baseman, assuming the Justin Turner role, maybe a little bit of being very, very clutch in the postseason and delivering with 3 home runs. The first 3 home run game in an elimination game, I believe, of all time. Chris Taylor, if you look up like records and stuff, he did a lot of stuff last night, and that was good to see. And break some more records. Have another 3 homer game. Why not? Why don't you become the first player with 2 3 homer games in the World Series or in an NLCS or postseason series or postseason in general, probably. And that's where it's going to begin. Ian Anderson is the starter in Game 6 for the Braves, and he's good, but he's not great. He's not amazing. Can he be amazing in a one night? Yeah, of course. We saw him do it last year. We saw him shut the Dodgers down last year when he was a rookie. But the fact of the matter is he is not as good as and he's not a Cy Young contender or anything. Let's just say that. He is there probably number 3 starter if it was just going by how the Braves would rank them. And The Dodgers got him out of the game early in game 2. If they can do that again, I like their chances. Even with the Braves bullpen game shutting them down, the Braves bullpen for the most part, the big arms have shut them down for the most part. The more you see guys, the more you can get to them, and it's gonna start with getting with back-to-back games, no rest. The biggest key is going to be trying to get Ian Anderson out of the game with runs, not just getting him out of the game early. Last time they got him out of the game early, didn't score enough runs, though. If they can get him out of the game early and have 4 or 5 runs on the board, now you're bringing to the Braves bullpen. You're seeing a bunch of guys. They're probably going to try to salvage, throw all their best arms, and now you got their best arms going on potentially back-to-back days if you take game 6. So that's where it starts, getting Anderson out of the game. I don't want to see Ian Anderson pitching in the 5th inning or beyond. I want to see the Braves bullpen, and I want to see them, do that. And that's where it starts. And then on the flip side, Max Scherzer, this is your time. This is the time that you need to deliver. This is the time you have the days off. I hope your arm's not dead anymore, because now is the time. Give the Dodgers 6 innings, 6 strong innings. 2 runs or less. 7 would be a plus. Continue to deliver for the Dodgers and come through. It's been a little bit of a shaky postseason for Max Scherzer. He can erase all that with one good start here. Get the Dodgers to a game 7, and you never know what happens in a game 7. So the path to a game 7, it's easy, but starts with the offense, and Max Scherzer needs to have a day. At the very least, if Max Scherzer doesn't have a day, the Dodgers' big arms will have a whole day off. Nobody threw excessively other than Trinan, so they should be ready to go. The crowd in Atlanta is going to play a factor. That stadium's going to play a factor. It's going to be a lot different. Last year, the Dodgers, when they had to win 3 in a row to come back in the NLCS, there was no days off. So maybe that momentum, if you believe in momentum, was a little bit easier to sustain, because the next day, after you just won a dramatic game 5, you came back the next day for game 6, came back the next day for game 7. So the Dodgers are going to have to bring the energy. They're going to have to bring that swagger. What AJ Pollock did, bring that swagger. The celebrations are back in it. It was fun to watch the Dodgers. They look like the Dodgers. They look like, they were the team ready to go. But also that could change very quickly. We saw them win a crazy game in game 3 and then come back super flat in game 4. So you can't come out flat. You got to come out firing. You got to come out rocking. You got to put the Braves on their heels. The Braves are still the team with the pressure here, and that's the biggest part. The Braves have all the pressure. The Dodgers don't have any pressure. They're not playing with house money, but they're pretty darn close to playing with house money at this point. When you're down 3-1, the way the Dodgers looked, a lot of people probably wrote them off. I'm sure the odds makers, I don't remember what the odds were when they were down 3-1, but I'm sure they were pretty far-fetched. And now the momentum shift a little bit. Now the Braves fans, Braves fans are clenching their jaw a little bit, or clenching something else a little bit. Braves players as well. They're the first question Ian Anderson was asked in the post-game interview was about Atlanta sports and kind of the curse. They didn't use the word curse, but just Atlanta sports and how the Braves are trying to be the team that stops that. That's weighing on them. Regardless of how mentally strong you are, that's got to weigh on you. You remember what happened last year. They lost 3 in a row. You're coming back to face Max Scherzer and potentially Walker Buehler on the offensive side. So, yeah, the tide turned just a little. Maybe not enough to feel full 100% confidence, but enough to be like, okay, the path looks clear. I don't have to squint anymore to see this path to the World Series. I can open my eyes fully and I can see it right there in front of me. But I don't want to take too long. So we know the path to game 5, or we know the path to game 7. And then game 7 is rinse repeat from game 6, except you substitute Walker Buehler for wherever I said Max Scherzer. And that's basically what it comes down to. The Dodgers' elite talent is going to have to be elite talent. Max Scherzer is going to have to be elite. Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, Cody Bellinger, those guys are going to have to be elite. And then everyone else has to do their job. Game 7, Walker Buehler has to be elite. The rest of the team has to do their job. You get this to a game 7, and it's muddy waters, because you got Charlie Morton versus Walker Buehler, which would be a pitcher's duel and could still be a pitcher's duel, but it's also a game seven. It's also an exhausting, draining time. The Braves would be completely, with all the pressure in a game seven, or, at least most of the pressure. The Dodgers would have that pressure, but in a little bit different form. And it's one of those where you fight, you're fighting for your life. The Dodgers game six, you get to game seven, you're like, oh, we're just got to fight one more time. We took the first two rounds that we needed to take. We just got to fight one more round and win one more round. And we're heading to Houston or Boston, or we're heading back to Los Angeles because the Dodgers would host the first two games. So yeah, the path is clear. I hope you guys can see it. I hope the optimism helped in yesterday's episode. And I hope you keep the optimism for game six, because why not? Why, as Jeff mentioned, why be miserable before you need to be miserable? If the Dodgers lose in game six, you got all weekend to be miserable and into next week. But if not, if the Dodgers win game six, hey, you're looking good going into a game seven on Sunday. And, keep the optimism there. Keep the smile on your face. The Dodgers are hopefully not going to let us down. And the path got a little bit more clear. Max Scherzer, Walker Buehler, do what can make you a legend in the postseason. You've done it before. You can do it again. And the offense, get it going. Put up 5-6 runs. Get them on. Get them early. They had Morton on the ropes in game three. If they get to a game seven, they can get Morton on the ropes. They got Anderson out early in game two. They can definitely do that again. And they've seen these bullpen arms a lot of other times. It's time to put it into action and get that work done. So that's how they get to a game seven. Last year, I talked to you on the Friday episode going into game five. We came back on Monday after the Dodgers had made the World Series and were elated and ecstatic. We're in the same little bit different since we're going into a game six, but we can come back Monday elated and ecstatic and ready to talk about a World Series matchup. So let's do that. Let's end today's episode there. Let's remember, we got the Nightingale curse. We got the Atlanta sports curse. We got whatever other curse you need, whatever superstitions you got, bring them all out. Whatever you need to do your part for the Dodgers to win this weekend, do it. And we'll be back on Monday. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for making us your first listen every morning. Locked On Dodgers, wherever you get your podcasts, or on YouTube. Free and available on all platforms. We'll be back on Monday to talk about an NLCS win. Let's talk about that. Let's put that out there, manifest it, all those words people like to use. Let's say we'll come back Monday and talk about an NLCS win and previewing who the Dodgers are going to play in the World Series. Let's make it happen. We're your first listen. Make sure to make your second listen Locked On MLB with Paul Francis Sullivan. But please call him Sully. He brings you a unique perspective on the major leagues past and present. It's also free and available on all platforms. That's going to do it for me. To get a hold of us, or subscribe, make us your first listen, all that good stuff. Like Jeff mentioned, we love you. We thank you. We know we got a lot of new listeners here this month, and we hope that you'll be longtime listeners. We hope you'll be daily listeners. We are here Monday through Friday. If you only listen a couple times a week, why not listen a couple more times a week and get it up there? As you can get all the way up to 5 times a week if you really want to, if you prefer. You can follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff is on Twitter at Snydog, and I'm at Vince Samperio. You can always send us an email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or you can always call us and leave us a voicemail or send us a text at 323-863-LOCK. That's 5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be with us when you get in your car, or if you're at home. To your smart device, play podcast Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree, you just have to listen. Have a good one.